Welcome to Open Up with Sello Makidanube. You know, where there's life, there is hope. And they say the inability to open up hope is what blocks trust. And blocked trust is the reason for blighted dreams. I just hope that as we have this conversation and we open up, then what we're going to do is open up the hope. And when you open up the hope, then we light up our dreams. Well, today I have got Nhlanhla Lux. Where is the Lux coming from? Welcome to Open Up with Sello Market.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. The Lux comes from, it's actually a special story because my grandfather worked in a factory for a very long time.
Right.
And one of his close mates at the time was a white guy called Luxembourg.
Okay.
That's a good radio.
Okay.
And the guy used to, when the police at the time, apartheid government police, would raid to arrest the black guys, Lux would always tell him, don't come to work tomorrow.
Okay.
So he had this special relationship with this guy, and that was my unofficial name that he would give me. It's either he would call me Pavi for Papa Lokapa Lux.
Okay.
So then I get this opportunity to go to the better schools.
Right.
When I get there, they can't pronounce Nhlanhla.
Okay.
So they say, and I hate it if you can't pronounce my name. I'd rather you call me Curtain or call me Juice.
Yeah.
As long as you're saying it properly.
Yeah.
And I help them understand what my name is, what it means, Lucky.
Yeah.
But I wasn't comfortable with just Lucky.
All right.
So one of them said, "Oh, Lucky as in Lux?" And I said, "That right there
is
okay." Because look on one pizza on them.
All right. Okay. No, it's lovely. So tell me about you, man. Where were you born?
Yeah. So I was born in Soweto, and I was raised in Soweto.
Right.
And I still live in Soweto. Went to St. David's Maristinanda.
Okay.
A very fancy school in Sandton. And that alone should tell you that I lived in a very poor community.
Yeah.
Because it remains a poor community.
Where in Soweto?
Midlands.
Midlands. Okay.
Midlands.
Right.
My dad comes from Dube, my mom from Midlands. But Soweto, it was just our playground. So our Soweto sharp, you must be able to orient the Skasika fair because we speak different and so it depends. So there's a language called Silista, for example, where just words get flipped around. And if you're from Midlands,
what is it? Is that Snafu?
Listen now.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
So so my background tells you already that I spent most of my day in Sandton, but with extremely rich people whose futures are guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I go back to sleep, go kitchening.
Yeah.
And somehow I need to have a balance for me not to be a social misfit this side.
Yeah.
And not to be a social misfit this side.
I must share a story, an experience that I had. I was doing a play and I was the only black in the play. And we were rehearsing in Yeovil. I mean, that time, Yeovil was still like a white environment. Now, I'm in this play. I'm the only black in the cast. So, from 10 o'clock up until 5 o'clock, I'm thinking in English. Okay.
I know what you mean.
And I'm communicating with white people. So, a friend of mine comes, Moss, and may his soul rest in peace. He comes to fetch me. We're going somewhere. And as I get into the car, he goes, "Hey, Macho, where's the man? Hey, man." And I said, "Hey, whoa, wait. And I had to bargain to change, to adjust and say, okay, Boti,
And it's not an easy thing. A lot of people think it's easy because you see, you are not just acting. It has to be your second nature.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, people just mistaking you to be a fake, to be this or that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
but I think the thing for me was living in two worlds.
Yeah.
Because as much as I was acting, but here I was when I'm relating with these guys. And what was worse, because we were rehearsing in Yeovil and in a house. If, for instance, we were rehearsing at the market, it would have been different, because at least lunchtime, I would go out and meet up with the guys, and then so at least I would have time. But there I was like from 10 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Thinking in English, speaking English all the way. So when I went out, it was like,
culture shock.
Culture shock, But it's interesting. Now tell me, my brother, you're living in these two worlds.
Yeah.
Kasi, working center. Kasi, how were you looked at?
Kasi, the older guys. Cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese, because cheese boy.
Yeah.
And the only reason why they would call me cheese boy, because taxi blaze.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. Not knowing that kirubala kitchen, kisha kebichi, and kitsuwaka 4 to get to school on time. So those struggles are not. These struggles are not spoken about enough. There's an entire generation of black people who never talk about questioning, ka taxi, kumbi, based on school.
I remember that.
I wish they can be given a mic, because their voices must be amplified. It was never an easy journey for those kids.
We're going to talk about it. Yeah. We're going to talk about it, because I think I've always found it very interesting that a person lives in two worlds. You suffer the almost discrimination or being what is it, being maligned in some way in your own environment. You seem to be different, and again, when you go that side to Senton, but also there is also the dynamics that are there, and I think I would like us if we could just touch on that as well. And I'll tell you why I say that. I remember, even looking at my own children and just thinking that, we are actually preparing our children to be groomed by white people. And I was actually seeing, like that generation basically voting DA. Because that generation goes there, they live in an orderly way. Everything is orderly, and the role models that they're seeing is white teachers, and there's order, there's everything. And then when they go out, get out of that environment, they go to the township, then the township is disorderly. It's survival of the fittest. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering how the affectation of this board, how did it bode with you in your upbringing?
I think for me, it was just the universe aligning itself to prepare me for today more than anything, because I didn't struggle in those times.
Yeah.
If you go to St. David's Marist and ask anyone who was in my year before me or year I led through and through.
Wow, okay.
Whether be it in sports, be it in arts and culture, be it just socially break.
Yeah.
So I always assumed leadership. So So I didn't have a problem, because it was almost natural for me to lead white people. So I don't have a shock when it comes to
I hear you.
And I also had a leading edge there. Or because so I'd also assume those social leadership responsibilities. So to understand,
arbitrator,
100%. Yeah. So as much as it's difficult for the next child, but for me it wasn't. And I guess it was just nature's alignment, because for most of the black kids who grew up similar experience, they had a hard time. Some are drug addicts because they were misunderstood. Some, you must understand, phone nyamela when you in the white side.
Yeah.
You're the suspect.
Exactly.
When you auyakasi, have phone nyamela. Yeah, how? Because by the way,
yeah.
You now behave like the white people behave. someone must be a suspect.
Yeah.
So having these two extreme worlds, I knew from an early age that my responsibility is to close or narrow the gap. We must. There's no way, because I mean, was saying because transport is like a 4.
Yeah.
My transport driver was Pacey. Pacey na utaka uma 4:15. So as I get ready, ki jump up na babang barobetse mo fatshe. Jump up na babang paspanang abasoba tutsuwa. So I'd have to wake myself up.
Yeah.
Bath myself, dress myself, and which is something that should be normal. But unfortunately, there was no spoon feeding. When you come back home, you come back with assignments. There's no one in the house equipped enough to help you with a biology assignment. Or chlorophyll or photosynthesis. What's the process of photosynthesis?
You know, as you were saying already, there's nobody to help you with your biology assignment. Nobody knows about chlorophyll or photosynthesis. I mean, when we were growing up, I mean, we would somehow, trick our parents and say, Mama, they need buka photosynthesis.
We also had that gap because, you are expected to read. There's always a list of requirements, and I'd never bring the list home because I must articulate the requirements so that I can add my own.
Okay.
So we also I mean, had that opportunity. But also understanding that sometimes the list of requirements has 10 items, and I only mentioned 3 because I knew my mom would stress big time that she can't meet some requirements. So Koskolong, they knew. I even had this thing already. I forgot. I remember sometimes some of my teammates, they knew that when you go on camps, he's going to forget his things. And to be honest, it wasn't a forgetting thing. I just didn't have those things. But I had to place it in such a way that it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable and it doesn't make my mom look incompetent.
That's it,
Do you see what I mean? So it was always a battle where you have to be on top of your mind like this and be ready for absolutely any situation. Because again, you have to defend the dignity of your family, of your own dignity, and everybody else around you. So for me, it was a mental preparation for these hard times that we are now living, because those bubbles had to pop and you had to join the real world at some point, And when you do join the real world, I didn't get to struggle. So I remember we're at UJ at the time. Nelly Raud was the year that it flipped.
I remember that.
I would chill with absolutely everyone, and I was like, why are the Indians chilling together? Why are the black guys chilling together? Why are the whites chilling together? Because my life was always separated. So it was the first time being outside the bubble where I'm excitedly expecting people to be go fair. So I had the courage to go interrogate the groups, like, why are you? No, because convenient answers. Because we prayed together, and then the other said, because Baka transport go fair, and the other said, because we share that. But I knew that there's more to it society
than that.
There's no click.
I would want to go there, but the question that I want to ask you is, with like living in these two worlds, the life in Senton and at your school, did you experience racism?
I experienced,
because it becomes, it has actually come out, come out now, and you find a lot of, kids black kids who've been to Barraking private schools, and even maybe some of the Model C schools, So, like for instance, I think recently in Pretoria, did in your time, did you experience that?
I didn't experience it straight because my character was very straightforward. And I was an asset in the circles. So when you're an asset, you're a clever black. So don't touch the clever black. But I would witness it. With the other guys that are not big in sports, they just coming to school.
Cool, exactly.
And there's been many times. The first biggest fight I had was when a friend of mine called Sam Mokar. It was his first day at school, and we're in grade 11. So these schools have tradition, like there's a matric grass. Only matrics can be on this grass.
Okay.
You go tuck shop, there's a matric line. You can all mix yourself, but AK line. So there are these cultures. So
that's it.
Sam just got into the country from Botswana. Their mom was an ambassador, and so Sam traveled a lot wherever the mom goes. Why?
Yeah.
But Setswana connected us, and I said to him, listen, they didn't put us in the same class, but just come find me. You'll find me Kokai guy.
Right.
So Sam comes and so developed the matric class. So they had him for lunch. So I stopped them and like, guys, this guy's new. He doesn't understand the school.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's my responsibility to help him understand the culture here at school and the disciplines. And they turned around and they said, oh, Lux, because it's you, it's okay. So Sam's school bag was left on that grass. So now he's disorientated. It's not even racism, this one. It's just what it is. Even white kids go through this. I'm just trying to reason for him to feel better, right? But I just witnessed an element of racism. And so the boy goes back to get his school bag. They're on top of him. So I stopped them, then they get on top of me. And there was a stylist, well, most black kids did it. Blazer clarity ball pen.
Oh yes.
And when they got on top of Sam and they got on top of me, and my location I started telling them that, listen, I'm going to stab the living daylights out of you if you continue to treat this guy this way, and especially if you pointed towards my direction. And one of the rugby players, they tackled me, everyone. They thought I was playing, and oh man, I started defending myself like you can't believe against these 20 guys. And the next day, I get called in and it's my fault. And that's when I started understanding systematic racism.
Yes.
You know, then from there, that moment was my changing moment. I knew the importance of Lwanela Banababa, even though I don't need to. That's when it was put into gear properly. Because I remember that week, I asked all the black kids during assembly. I asked all the black guys to meet me outside because I have an important meeting for the black guys. And that caused serious chaos because the school has never seen black guys coming together to be organized against racism or anything that might affect them. So in that meeting, it was the teachers came to listen to what I have to say to the black guys. So Ebeki was Soto, and I realized that amongst us are black guys who are actually not from the township.
Soto.
So they're now messing up with the plan. So I had to find the strength and speak about the issues for what they were in front of them. And I don't want to mention people's names here as if we are now trying to, but one of the prominent leaders of this country in a certain political party was my junior at the school. And when I called the meeting, I was about to leave. And I said to them, I want you guys to all understand something. What you see here is not the real world. I'm going into the real world. I don't know what I'm expecting, but at least you know you've got a brother when you get to the other side. But I want to be guaranteed that when I leave here, all of you will help the next black kid that's coming in. So I started relaying my story. I know you live here, so let's talk about our black issues, because we never had a platform to talk about those black issues. And some of them started crying on the spot to say, Joe, I didn't know who to talk to about this. And to be honest with you, I'm here on a bursary too, and whenever there's this. So it's small, but for kids it's very big. So,
but tell me, if we are going to solve this, what do you think needs to be done?
I think it's leadership. I think we need to apply micro leadership, not macro leadership. I mean, I love the president's office dearly because I don't have a reason to hate it. And if you're in any country, you should show serious respect for your president and the office. But to be honest with you, I'm not a politician, so I don't have to be diplomatic about my answers. I must tell you straight. Our president and other presidents, they've been presidents of communities that they can't even begin to imagine. Somewhere, still in South Africa. There's a community that's been there for the longest time. That our people don't know exist. How are you president of people you don't know about exist? It's like expecting me to be a president of this country and I've got areas and communities but
you know, here's what I find it interesting, because I mean, I remember when I saw you, I think the first time, you know, when you appear on TV, and I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, hey, Ntwane, no. you know. And I think all I just saw, and I think the way you articulated yourself, you didn't do bargaining, you know, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was a boy was a cast.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm meeting you for the first time, and I realize that now you do have that background that could have made you to Englishise your background, and you haven't Englishised it.
Oh no.
Why?
Again, it goes back to leadership. You must understand leadership. Leadership is not something you can just be taught at school.
Right.
I often say that if you want to lead people, you must be able. Leadership is not only in the physical; it's also spiritual. So you must understand that if I say to you, okay, fine, you want to be a leader in this community, before we entertain in the physical, and you can't even address that. You can't even go down and understand and even articulate yourself spiritually to us so that we can make proper sense. And you just want to lead in the physical. That's where the clash is. That's why I'm saying that we can't begin to, only greed makes you want to lead people you don't understand their history, current. You can't even plan for the future because you have no clue of their history.
You know, I mean, I think what you're saying, I find it very interesting in the sense that, you know, the Greeks, I mean, they're the ones who came with democracy, apparently. But they've got these three citizens, three types of citizens. And they've got the idiot as one of the citizens. And they've got the tribalist, and they've got the citizen. But what the idiot, you know, according to them, is somebody who is self-serving, and they don't care about their environment. All they're about is me, and enriching themselves, and you know, what is important is them. And then there's the tribalist, and the tribalist is, he doesn't see any other thing outside himself. You know, and then the citizen is the one who basically is a civilized one, who lives with civility, and who lives with bargaining ubuntu. In fact, actually, it's civility is ubuntu. It's, you know, kiboto. You know what I mean? And now, if you were to classify now, because I hear you speaking about our president and you know, our presidents, people who are leading people that they don't even relate to. What way would you classify, you know, like these leaders?
A lot of our people are capitalists. They just want self-gain as long as they profit from it. That's why the structures, the systems, be it in politics, in economics or social systems, they're designed in such a way that the people leading these systems will always profit from our people's poverty. And that's it, that's the business. And if you understand it, you can't live with it. That's why you must make it. You must just come up with systems that counteract these systems, and make sure that, in your time at least, you can free some people and help them understand and see things for what they are, and hoping that they'll have the leadership to free more.
Blackness is associated with chaos, disorder. Whiteness, and these are the two worlds that you basically lived in. You know, I mean, I think going to school, basically your upbringing, basically, you know, that is a world that's sort of like, you will spend, I think, basically, you actually spend more of your time, 5 days a week, you know, and then you come home to sleep, basically. So if you look at these two worlds, how can we begin to find a way of changing or putting some transformation in them?
It has to be aggressive, it has to be intentional, it has to be deliberate. We hide too much behind things that don't matter. Things that matter. We don't prioritize them.
Things that don't matter. What are those?
Let's make it practical. I'm currently dealing with a situation in Soweto where in my house I've got a 13-year-old who's pregnant. She went through a year of being raped by this 56-year-old man. So she's in my house as we speak doing this interview, because that's the safest place she can be right now, because she's about to go for an abortion, but not a normal abortion. They need the fetus as evidence, DNA for court and the process.
Right, yes.
Now, I was listening to the police talk to the mother.
But the mother of the girl.
Yeah. So you are talking to people who are going through a serious situation. And what is the policeman prioritizing?
Wow.
Herself and her time.
Yeah.
Not the situation. When a woman get into serious situations where their dignity has been taken away, and they come complain to us men, for example, I'm just making us. We want to tell them how to cry. We want to tell them how to feel the pain. So I'm just giving you a practical example of we focus on things that don't matter and we leave out the things that matter. Sometimes let the court not sit. The judge is there, let it not sit because this woman wants to cry. Let her cry. If she cries for 2 hours, it's okay. The court I do next week. But what do? Judge we must tell her that Emma, stop all and that has become our nature and it's disgusting. It's something that must change with immediate effect.
Mfana, you gave me goosebumps. But goosebumps. You just gave me goosebumps, bro, when you spoke about this little girl. And even just the reaction of the police. But here is something. Black people, we are always cruel to one another. And in fact, earlier on when we were talking, you asked me a question about how does it feel, that you see young people like us, and you guys fought for freedom. How do you feel about that? But one thing that I will say to you is that there is also the element of how we've been affected psychologically, because psychologically we always treat the white person better, and we treat each other badly. And Franz Fanon in The Wretched of the Earth, explains that. So now, how do we, for instance, address this? How can we begin to address this element in us to be cruel to one another? And even to the point that we find it easy even to kill. The vocabulary of killing each other is
two things. I've always said that we need to face the truth and be intentional and deliberate. Our parents, even you, in your generation, you are products of the apartheid system. Meaning of colonization.
Exactly.
Colonization took a different form and changed form to be apartheid. And now it's changed from apartheid to be in the systems, be it the banking systems or so it's now systematic. Now, you are a perfect product of apartheid. And everyone else who is our parent. What we need to do is to cut the umbilical cord. Because our parents were conquered, whether you like it or not. What can a conquered person teach the next person? Especially values of, they'll instill values for you to also be conquered. If you remember when you were my age, the parents were saying but the students took, the youth of Soweto took to the streets and faced the bullets and the guns, and that's why you and I are sitting so comfortable today.
Now, I was 16. I was 16 when 76 happened.
Yes.
And I think for me, it was even my awakening. Because prior to that, I didn't even know what a sellout was. I didn't even know what the security police was. And I remember, I actually attended school there was a school in White City called SAG. It actually was a 6-classroom school. So when Botsi came from Maurice Isaacson, actually we were the very first school that they picked up. And then we went to Tiseli where Hector Peterson's sister was actually attending. And then, made our way to Orlando West, Mufolo, Dube, Orlando West, and on to Vilagaza Street. And, at that time, and we were feeling, our parents were not doing it. After that day, I was, working.
You were 22 years.
Yes, I became woke. Yeah, you know, I became woke. You know, and I said, oh, there's a sellout there, there's this, and you know, and I started getting interested in politics, and then even understanding black consciousness.
Was Teti
machining?
No. Well, yes, and I know you talk about that. I'm saying was he negotiating? No. When you got to your school to take the school out
No.
It was intentional, it was deliberate.
But exactly.
So that's what this culture, this new black person, new black generation needs. It needs to be deliberate and intentional. So because we're taking the values of our parents, by nature Africans are very respectful people. So that alone, if you're going to tell a lie, you're going to need to put a lot of truth around this lie, but at the center of this truth must be a lie. If you understand the book as the psychological books, I can share with you later on. So when you look at systems, it's not easy for you to be lied to when you actually look at things for what they are.
And you know what? I love this conversation where it's going now. The whole thing of being deliberate and intentional. It was actually even something that the Mandelas actually started with. Because if you remember, they were the ones who were behind the formation of MK, you know, because prior to that, I mean, the leaders of the ANC, they were always trying to negotiate with the white man. And Mandela, but no. We got, this guy, and I mean, what he would love to do is actually read the speech Sir Mandela, on the dock. When he was basically, and he actually explains that when we decided to do to form Umkhonto weSizwe, we were actually just making sure that we deal with counter violence with violence, because the party system was very violent. You know what I mean? But now we're actually not dealing with the apartheid system. The apartheid system, it's removed, but it is still in our heads. Somehow when we operate like there's a white man in our minds.
But you need to be careful with that analysis.
Yes.
Why you must be careful with it is, in your generation, it's like that.
Yeah.
But if you take a 16-year-old,
today,
a 16-year-old today, is your practical. We're not theory, because you are reserved, so you can't go out there and do what you need to. But if you look at society, a 16-year-old's actions reflect the parents.
My brother, thank you, man. Thank you. You've taken me on a very interesting journey. You're forming the Soweto Parliament. Talk to me about that. Can you provide that should be the Minister of Finance?
but you see, precisely that. We are conditioned to think how they want us to think. So when you start thinking leadership, we automatically think the structures of politics.
I know.
You shouldn't be thinking that way.
I know, all right.
Now, Soweto Parliament is a non-political, community-led movement.
Right.
When you are in Soweto Parliament, you must understand that, unlike the ministers you speak about, you are here to spend your own time and money to fix the people's problems. It's not the other way around.
I hear you.
So I'm going to give an example. If Barco Mirolens to a shilling, the councillor Rata Politikele today, the phone deal I'm not talking stories, it's a real situation. The phone deal the Arab League. So it's what the Parliament would say that Chile, how much is it to fix this problem? If it's 100,000 rand, then us who are the leaders of Soweto Parliament use our own resources to fix that problem. And if to fix the problem is outside the reach of our resources, then we reach out to Soweto to say, guys, we are here, we need to get here for this particular problem. And all the time, it works out. And we move. I can take you to Soweto, different areas, without taking a single picture. We helped with situations, many, I just don't like advertising our people's poverty. Many situations, we are impactful. The ESCOM situation is one of them. We said to the guys, we can't continue to block Strata because we're upset with ESCOM. Our block Strata, you are saying an ambulance that's moving from the hospital to go save Mokhonos or suffering from a heart attack you are saying it mustn't get that Makoko must die.
Exactly. Yeah.
All those two, ambulance and Koko, I want to know what Kenanka Eskom.
But also here's the other thing, because the other thing that happens, I mean, I actually experienced that. They were starting barracking a protest as I was driving from Duba to Dube Station.
Yeah.
And just as I came to Dube Station, I mean, I just heard on my car.
Yeah.
Why do people stone cars that are passing?
It's idling. Most of our people are idling.
Yes.
So an idling mind is a dangerous mind. Now I want to tell you something. If the education system can be changed, stop teaching our kids about Jan van Riebeeck. That knowledge doesn't contribute anything towards that kid's daily lives.
Right.
But if you teach the kid about Richard Maponya, how Richard was able to penetrate the white markets when it was illegal to do so.
Yeah.
How Richard had a horse called Another Color running at the Durban July that you guys are just getting excited about today. If you can educate our people about that, then we think twice when you want to destroy Maponya Mall. But there's nothing in the education system that suggests that blackness has value. That's why our kids will be destructive and just break anything that's associated with blackness.
When we were doing it during the apartheid years, it was because everything belonged to the white person, or to white people. I mean, when we banned the offices and everything, it belonged to. And then we even go and we do that to schools. I mean, I was surprised to hear that 160 schools were vandalized, I think, in KZN. Why? What's the psychology behind that? And how can we change it?
Again, it's that this is evidence. What you're saying is evidence that we need to cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Our parents behaved that way because at that time it was suitable and it was successful for them to behave that way. I mean, it guaranteed success, right? Because it would hurt the owner.
Right.
But today we are the owners of everything that is public. The parks belong to us. The buildings belong to us. So, like I was saying, if a 16-year-old behaves in a certain way, for me it's a reflection of what their parents are doing. Now, just to add on to that, when you find kids behaving, it's because they're inheriting the intelligence and the behavior from their parents.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, our parents are products of apartheid.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. So if you want to make sure that we do not encourage or inherit further anything that's to do with apartheid, and you want to really produce a new type of black that values blackness, that understands Africa pre-colonization, because that's where the true history of this continent is.
Yeah.
Any history that has to do with colonization and apartheid is actually doesn't even make up 2% of the real history of this continent. But this 2% has been marketed and branded as if it's the entire history of our people. Our people have a beautiful history. It's none of this.
So what you're implying now, for instance now, is that what we need to do is almost even have intergenerational conversations.
No.
You don't think so?
I want, if it was all up to me, I would make sure that the infrastructure, the apartheid, goes, and everything that it influenced, meaning our parents, move one side. Give the kids a chance. Let me tell you, we don't have a shortage of leadership in our black communities.
Yes.
The problem is that the very same parents are hogging leadership positions.
We're holding up, yes.
We've got councillors go to Komakation that are 8 years old, doesn't even have a Facebook account, but he's a councillor leading a community that's majority on Facebook. We complain on Facebook. We like each other's pictures on Facebook. We're not in touch with the real world, that councillor. Half the time they're in hospital because naturally old people get sick.
Yeah.
And our problem Eskom doesn't even know where Eskom phone doesn't even have the courage, confidence, or ability to go and address that issue. So what happens? There's in Soweto, each community, there are 33 communities in Soweto if you include Eldos. Each community has a black child or a black boy, a black girl with a degree, some 2 degrees that are sitting because there's no opportunities, while we have our parents hogging positions of power. You can even look in Parliamenting. They're all sleeping and it's a norm.
But I'm just saying, I mean, don't you think there should be a conversation so that even when you take the power, but at the same time, it's basically, the parents basically like handing on the baton.
Sure. I'm going to give you an example that I want you to take home and tell everyone else.
Yes.
If you steal my car And then and you confess, well, you know what, it's actually wrong in principle and everything else is wrong that I stole your car. But I'm not going to give you this car, but every time you need to get somewhere, call me.
Yeah.
Do you think that you are remorseful enough? Do you?
No.
So what's the solution? It lacks two things: being deliberate and intentional. If we're intentional about fixing the problem, first of all, bring me back my car. First of all, let's not negotiate that.
Yeah.
So as soon as we start negotiating and having roundtables, that means there's someone that we are protecting from their feelings being hurt. We all understand the problem, don't we?
We do.
So let's be deliberate. Please move aside and let the youth come in and do the right thing. What's the problem with that? We talk too much in this country. At some point we need action. Nothing else. Sure.
My brother? Yeah. I've never been made to not have anything to say.
Yeah.
But I will say this to you, that what you are, I think, professing and what you are creating, the Soweto Parliament as you are doing it, is there a way that you're looking at the different aspects of society? And that's another thing, society is actually, the word, people we use the word society, but we don't realize that what it actually means. It's living in friendliness, in harmony. You know what I mean? So as you are establishing this Soweto Parliament, are you looking at all the different aspects of life? And how are you going to address that?
So society is basically has three pillars, right? Has political side, economic side, and social side.
Yes.
Now, Soweto Parliament values are exactly that, three. So it tells you that our primary mission as Soweto Parliament is not to fight the system so much that we create chaos. Currently, our job is to hold politics accountable. That's why I'm not a politician.
Right.
And that's why I can speak the way I speak and be intentional and deliberate.
Yeah.
Ours is to hold politics accountable. Gone are those days where politicians just do as they please and they just squander people's money and not do and not deliver on their promises. Since 1994, there's a structure that holds politics accountable.
No, we never had.
Yes. And even from an economic point of view, businesses that are existing in our townships and communities, no one holds them accountable for the contribution towards the emancipation of our people or the community itself. And lastly, the social accountability is holding ourselves accountable, because we can't go around holding everyone else accountable except for ourselves. So our behavior, our actions must be held accountable at some point, and that's what we do.
How are you going to do that? Let me start with the economics. The politics are clear. Economics. How do we deal with the economics of our environment?
All right, it's just knowledge. So right now, I can ask you, Kotube, how many billboards do we have, Kotube? The answer is I don't know, because everybody doesn't focus on what they need to focus on. So we have kids right now who study the the outdoor media spaces. They understand that. They're just waiting for opportunity. Now, we put together these kids, the youth, we put them together in a certain type of arrangement forum, and we say that outdoor media, prime media, from today, you're not just going to do as you please in this community. These people are the ones that are going to man these billboards. Now you are holding business accountable. How many employment opportunities are you creating? Do you see?
I hear you.
I won't go on because the example is clear.
So that's what you are planning to do.
Yes.
That basically you bring the economy back into Soweto.
100%. We are even now talking to the guys in Alexandra. They love the success and the impact that we are having in Soweto. They are asking for the blueprint. They are now going to establish Alexandra Parliament. Soon you'll have Kukuletu Parliament. Soon you'll have Tembisa Parliament. And now you'll find people taking the responsibility of their own lives and the responsibility of their community, because you can't always wait for someone to come and save you. People can continue to operate in politics as long as they know that the people are organized enough to hold them accountable in that space. You can come into our communities and trade in business. Doesn't matter the business, as long as you know that people are organized enough to hold you accountable in business.
My brother, I have always been thinking that there's got to be a revolution and a new kind of revolution. I never had it as figured out. as you have.
Yeah.
And yes, possibly it is true that we have got to we've got to get out of the space.
Yeah. No.
And let you
and
guys.
not even discuss it.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it out, but right now you have to move.
Move out of the way.
There's kids all over the world that are equipped, ready, and have the energy necessary naturally to do what the elders are doing as we speak. In Parliament, as an example.
Nhlanhla, thank you very much, my brother.
Appreciate it, thank you.
For honoring us with your presence and for being part of the show.
Thank you.
All the best with your endeavors.